A very good afternoon to you and many thanks for joining us on Citizen at 1. I am Kirigo Ngarwa. Governors from the country's 47 counties are at this meeting at the Great Rift Valley Lodge in Naivasha for a summit to review their performance so far since the devolved system of governance took off after last year's general election. President Paul Kagame of Rwanda is attending the summit and is making a keynote address on implementation of devolution. The Council of Governors, through its chairman Isaac Ruto, says the summit will provide an opportunity to assess the opportunities and challenges of devolution in the country and chart a way forward. Our reporter Kendegoro Badia is in Naivasha and we'll be joining him in a few minutes for more details on that. For now, we move on. In the ninth witness currently in the witness box at the International Criminal Court is testifying against Deputy President William Ruto and journalist Joshua Arap Sang in the presence of his lawyer. Prosecution lawyer Lucio Garcia, however, wants the witness to continue giving his testimony in a private session as it happened on Friday, arguing that the information he wants to get from the witness is too sensitive to be stated in an open court session. The Deputy President is also present in court today as directed by the chamber, which granted him the request for unlimited excusal from attendance at trial. The judges ruled that Ruto will be allowed to attend to his constitutional obligations as Deputy President of Kenya on condition that he files a notice waiving his right to be physically present in court and opt to be represented by his legal team and be present on certain key days as directed by the chamber.
The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'audience de la Cour pénale internationale est ouverte. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Representing witness 356, Stéphane Bourgon.
I'd ask that we go back into private session to continue the testimony of the witness.
How much longer do we anticipate remaining in private session?
Your Honors, it's difficult to estimate. As I had indicated to the court, I want to lead a whole block of evidence in private session, so it might take the first two sessions of today.
Solicitor General J. Muturi has called on Parliament to expedite the enactment of the Legal Aid Bill. The enactment of the law is expected to regulate issues related to the provision of free legal aid in the country. The Constitution requires that the state to ensure access to justice for all persons. The Constitution requires that all costs that may hamper access to justice are also waived or that the fee be reasonable. According to the Constitution, this law is supposed to come into law by August 2014, 4 years after the promulgation of the Constitution.
The Constitution further enshrines the need for legal aid by requiring that an accused should be assigned an advocate by the state at state expense if substantial injustice would otherwise result, and to be informed of this right promptly.
What has been happening is that many people, particularly the poor, the marginalized and the vulnerable, have not been able to access particularly our courts when their rights are violated. And many have cried and said justice is for the rich, but a time is coming when justice will be for all.
Let's revisit our top story for this hour. And governors from the country's 47 counties are this hour meeting at the Great Rift Valley Lodge in Naivasha for a summit to review their performance so far since the devolved system of governance took off after last year's general election. President Paul Kagame of Rwanda is attending the summit and is making a keynote address on implementation of devolution. The Council of Governors, through its chairman Isaac Ruto, says the summit will provide an opportunity to assess the opportunities and challenges of devolution in the country and chart a way forward. Our reporter Kendegoro Obadia is now coming to us live from Naivasha with more details. A very good afternoon to you, Kendegoro. Kindly bring us up to speed with what exactly is happening in Naivasha.
Well, good afternoon to you, Kirigo. Indeed, we are here in Naivasha at the Great Rift Valley Lodge. And what is happening here is that we have governors gathered in here today, and they are trying to deliberate, finding ways and means of making devolution work. Remember, we are 10 months into this system. It is quite nascent, and we are still learning. And looking at the way events have been unfolding in the recent past is that there's been a lot of confusion surrounding how devolution is going to work. What are the roles of the governors? How are they going to work on their budgets? How are they going to be addressed, and issues like those. And the biggest theme of this particular gathering today is really looking at the economic growth at the county level. Remember, now that we have the devolved system of governance, this is supposed to take resources closer to the people, address injustices, and address issues of discrimination in terms of regional development and issues like those ones. And that is why today the choice here of arriving at the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, to come and address the governors is looking at the history of Rwanda, the way they come out of the shambles of the genocide that happened in 1994 and all the way to the year 2014 where we are today. We are looking at a country that has grown very fast. It is now one of the fastest growth economically growing country in Africa, and that is why they decided to have President Kagame to come and give them some insights on how they can realize economic turnover, even if we have challenges in terms of the workability of devolution. And earlier on, before the President Kagame of Rwanda arrived here, we had governors talking amongst themselves and trying to assess the progress so far. And their biggest complaint is that the senators who are supposed to be the protectors of devolution, senators who are supposed to be legislating for counties and the devolved governments, are the ones who are now at loggerheads with them in terms of how much resources should be taken to the county level, what should go to recurrent expenditure, and what should go to development. And remember, the senators are insisting that this time around they're even planning to legislate and make laws that would now set the amount of money that will be spent in recurrent expenditure and the money that will go to development, and that should become law. But this is not thinking very well with governors who are saying, you see, we are the governors, we are the people who are responsible for this. We are the people who are supposed to be looking at the needs of the county and plan at the county level and see what should go where. And that is the issue that they've been grappling with the whole of this morning. And they have actually said they will be moving to court to block any kind of legislation that will be looking like going to block or going to be an impediment to the devolved system of governance. And so this afternoon we will be looking at how the counties will be realizing their economic growth and what they should do, and that is borrowing a leaf from Rwanda. But we still have the teething problems facing devolution in the country, and as the days goes by until tomorrow, the governors will be really looking at addressing and getting some solutions on how to make sure that the issues that are existing currently between them and the senators should be ironed out and see how they can be able to move forward without the kind of issues that we are realizing at the moment. But what is happening now is that the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, is addressing the governors. We will be able to let you know later on what has transpired and what kind of advice the president has given to our governors who are gathered here today. Well, back to you, Kirigo. We will be giving you more updates as the day goes by.
All right, thank you very much, Kendagor Obadiah, for that. Let's move on. Kajiado Central Member of Parliament Joseph Nkaiseri has lamented the highly disproportionate teacher-student ratio in many of the public schools in Kajiado County. Speaking after overseeing the awarding of tuition funding to select students in Kajiado County via Equity Bank's Wings to Fly scholarship scheme, the MP faulted the Ministry of Education for failing to hire enough teachers for the county schools, an issue that has now left some teachers with the difficult task of managing and teaching several schools concurrently.
Tuko na shule 16 na ni aibu sana kwa serikali kufanyia wananchi. Shule 16 ambayo iko na mwalimu mmoja. Sasa hiyo mwalimu atafundisha standard 1, atafundisha standard 2, atafundisha standard 8, atafundisha standard 5. Sasa watoto wakianguka tuna blame watoto, saa nyingine tuna blame walimu, na kumbe si makosa ya walimu, ni makosa ya Ministry of Education.
A woman was gang raped and killed in West Pokot, provoking furious protests in the county. Women rights activists there are up in arms over what they term as an alarming rise in rape cases. The activists are threatening to sue the government for failing to take decisive action to stop the vice. The women say that the government has failed to protect women. This after a woman was gang raped and strangled to death, then her body dumped in a stream that is just a short distance from the Kirita GSU camp. According to residents, the body was discovered by children who were playing along the stream. This comes just a few days after another young man was hacked to death in the same area by unknown people, but police are yet to arrest any suspects in connection with the incident.
Kuna viongozi wako sehemu hii mpaka saa hii hata hawajaonekana na hatujui ni yeye ilikuwa ni nini.
Mtoto anapatikana amewawa hivi majuzi, kuna mtu ambaye alikatwa panga. Bado hata watu wanajaribu kuangalia itachukua hatua gani, ndio huyu mama ambaye bado ni mchanga sana amekuwa na ameuawa.
Let's now have a look at international news. And 26 police officers were wounded and 4 remain in critical condition after a riot erupted in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv.
The new wave of demonstrations in Ukraine has come as a result of the approval by the country's parliament of laws which bans some types of protests and demonstrations. The new bill, which has been dubbed the anti-protest law, has sparked great public criticism. Despite appeals from opposition leaders not to resort to violence, mass demonstrators continue to attack police with smoke bombs in what they say is a fight for their right to protest. Over 40,000 people camped in Kiev Square, demanding the impeachment of President Viktor Yanukovych, the resignation of the government and the disbandment of parliament. Yvette Mumanyi, Citizen at 1.
Well, time to catch a breather now, but I'll be back with the business news as well as sports news. Don't go too far.